Think you know everything about Disney World? These 10 facts might make you see the park in an entirely different light. Hey everybody, it's AJ for Disney Food Blog, and Disney World is so much more than rides, restaurants, and Mickey Mouse, but if you guys watch our videos, then you already know that. It's one of the largest employers in the state of Florida, it runs on a surprising amount of solar power, and it's one of the most visited places in the world. So let's get to the facts and see if they change how you see this theme park. All right, first fact that might really change the way you look at Disney World, I know that it changes the way I've always looked at Disney World, is that Disney World is actually its own government. Now, no, this isn't some technicality. Disney World really has its own municipal government. The Reedy Creek Improvement District was created by the state of Florida in 1967, giving Disney World complete control over its own municipality, which is around 40 square miles in size. This includes control over services like power, water, sewage, garbage collection, road construction and maintenance, environmental testing and monitoring, as well as fire protection and emergency medical services. Disney only needs to outsource elevator inspections and property tax collections to the county and state. They do everything else themselves. The RCID, which is the Reedy Creek Improvement District we mentioned earlier, was originally created with Epcot in mind. Back when Epcot was still supposed to be a community with 20,000 residents, Disney won the rights to keep the municipality in 1968. Now, having their own government allowed Disney to build and expand a lot faster. There's less red tape and hoops to jump through when it comes to construction permits and zoning approvals when you run it yourself. Disney did still create their own community of about 7,000 residents, but chose to de-annex it from the RDIC. Celebration Florida sits on land that was previously the far southern tip of Disney World property. Shortly after the community was founded, the company de-annexed the land so that residents wouldn't hold voting power over Disney's municipal government. Disney does, however, still operate two utilities companies that serve Celebration: Smart City Telecom and Reedy Creek Energy Services. Now, speaking of the municipality that is technically Walt Disney World, there's actually a whole lot of empty land. So did you know that nearly a third of Disney World property is set aside for conservation? Disney works with the Florida Department of Environmental Protection, the Nature Conservancy, and other local conservatory groups. In a commitment to responsible land development, Disney has set aside 12,000 acres for the Wilderness Preserve, which is open to the public for birdwatching and hiking. And in early 2019, Disney opened a new 270-acre solar facility, which, in addition to the smaller 22-acre Mickey-shaped solar field that you see near the Magic Kingdom, Disney can power 2 whole theme parks just off of solar power. As a company, Disney's made an effort to follow sustainable practices both in and out of the parks. Let's talk about that weird geographical feature about the Magic Kingdom, that it's actually on the second floor. So we talk about the utilidors all the time, but mostly just that they're beneath the Magic Kingdom. And of course, the utilidors are all those tunnels that run under the Magic Kingdom. By the way, there's a Subway sandwich shop down there if you didn't know. But they're not the basement. When you're in Magic Kingdom, you're actually on the second floor. The land Disney World is built on is a swamp, so you can't dig down without just hitting water. So to create those underground tunnels, they first had to build an underground. They took the dirt right out of the Seven Seas Lagoon, which is a man-made waterway, by the way, and used all that dirt to build the utilidors. And then they built the Magic Kingdom on the second floor. Now, something else that might surprise you, Disney has a full staff of doctors and scientists for their animals. Animals in Animal Kingdom are cared for by a full staff, including veterinarians and scientists. And simple procedures are even performed in a stage hospital at Rafiki's Planet Watch, if you've ever seen that. It's really cool, and your kids might really like to see that too. Animal program teams at Animal Kingdom and over at the Seas and Epcot are responsible for caring for more than 1,500 mammals, birds, and reptiles, and over 5,000 aquatic creatures. Disney's also involved in species survival programs, which help to increase the numbers of endangered and near extinct animals in the wild, and that includes the African elephants, black and white rhinos, okapi, and gorillas. They also donate to and help raise funds for many wildlife and animal conservation groups around the world. Another interesting fact that might change the way you look at Disney World is that Disney is the largest single-site employer in Florida. Before the park closures, Disney World employed 77,000 Floridians. It's considered the largest single-site employer in the entire state. Thousands of cast members were furloughed, though, when the parks closed in March, including 43,000 union workers. Many cast members have since been called back to work, but for those still waiting to return to work, Disney has recently notified employees that furloughs could likely be extended beyond the 6-month mark. Disney is still in talks with the Equity Actors Association to bring certain performers back to the parks, so they may be returning soon. It takes a lot of people to make the magic happen, and there's a lot of cast members behind the scenes working long hours to make each and every Disney vacation as perfect as it can be. And you know that we here at DFB always want to give a shout out to the cast members. We know that you guys make the magic happen. You guys make it what we remember and what we want to keep coming back to experience. So a big thank you to all of you out there who are cast members, both those of you who are working currently and who are still furloughed. We appreciate you. We thank you for everything that you do. And I'll speak on behalf of all of our subscribers. We are grateful for the work that you do. Okay, the first thing to realize that people are always shocked by when I mention it, because we are a Disney food blog, there are over 400 restaurants in Walt Disney World. When you're deciding on where to eat, it can be a pretty daunting task. And there are nearly 100 table service restaurants alone. And by table service, those are the ones that people sit down and a waiter comes and serves you. And another fact that really shocks people about the restaurants in Disney World is that many of those restaurants are not even operated by Disney. They're operated by third-party companies, i.e. not Disney. And those include most of the restaurants in Disney Springs, Rainforest Cafe and Yak and Yeti in Animal Kingdom, many of the restaurants around World Showcase and Epcot, including all of the restaurants in Mexico, Italy, China, Japan, Morocco, and France, and several of the restaurants at Coronado Springs Resort, along with a few locations on the boardwalk. So just because you're eating at a restaurant that is in Disney World and even inside a Disney World park doesn't mean that it's run by Disney employees. Crazy to think about, but it's true. So a big tip there is that there are a ton of discount options if you follow the companies that run those restaurants on social media, or if you buy our DFB Guide to Walt Disney World Dining. We've got all of that information in there for you, and you can find discounts on the social media channels of the companies that run those restaurants sometimes. So if you want discount options in Walt Disney World at a lot of these restaurants, you can get them. It's right there. Follow us on our newsletter. Get the DFB Guide to Walt Disney World Dining. We've got all that stuff in there, and we put out the discounts every month on our newsletter as well. Another crazy fact that might make you change the way you look at Disney World and the Walt Disney Company in general is that Walt Disney went bankrupt to build his company. So Walt Disney filed for bankruptcy in 1923 when his first studio was facing mounting debts and had just lost their star animation, Oswald the Lucky Rabbit. Later that year, Walt and his brother Roy created a new studio, and though a lot of people expected him to fail again, the studio's first feature film, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, became one of the most successful movies, and the Disney company skyrocketed to even bigger success. Now, without Walt declaring bankruptcy, there would be no Walt Disney Studios, no Mickey Mouse, and no Disneyland or Disney World. So even though people think of Disney as constantly just printing money, the company has had difficult times, and one of those was right at the beginning there. And hopefully that will inspire you that even if you're trying to build something amazing, you're going to hit tough times, you're going to hit rough seas, and even Walt Disney went bankrupt before he had his first major success. So always remember that. No matter what's going on with you right now, you can still be incredibly successful. Just stick to it and keep creating greatness. Something else that's going to change the way you look at Disney World. It is literally one of the most visited places in the world. It's a fairly well-known, or at least predictable, fact that Disney World is the top theme park in the world. In North America, all 4 Disney World theme parks rank in the top 5 most visited parks, and Disneyland takes the number 2 spot. Worldwide, though, Magic Kingdom ranks as the most visited theme park with over 20 million visitors annually. Disneyland ranks again as number 2 with over 18 million visitors, and 2 more Disney parks, Tokyo Disneyland and Tokyo Disney Sea, take spots 3 and 4. All in all, over 155 million people visited Disney parks worldwide in 2019, but how does that stack up to non-theme park destinations? Disney World regularly ranks up next to the Vatican, Stonehenge, and other iconic World Heritage destinations for how many people actually visit. It's not just the top theme park in the world, it's one of the top destinations in the world. The city of Tokyo, St. Peter's Basilica, and Hollywood Studios all had around 11 million visitors in 2019. Around the same number of people visit Paris and London as Magic Kingdom each year. So you'll find Disney World in the top 10 or 20 of most rankings of top vacation spots or most visited sites around the world. Even now, with travel significantly reduced, the state of Florida is seeing a quicker recovery in tourism and those traveling to the state than many other tourist locations in the United States. Florida is currently seeing more tourists than Las Vegas or New York City. So Disney World seems to be a rite of passage, not just for those of us here in the United States, but people all over the world. All right, another really fun fact that may change the way you look at Disney World is that guests have actually donated thousands by making wishes, but they don't actually know it. You've probably done it before, tossed a coin into the water of a fountain or the well by Cinderella Castle, but have you thought about where that money goes after you make a wish? Well, believe it or not, Disney collects all of the coins from wishing wells and rides and fountains and donates them to children's charities in Central Florida. They raise an average of around $20,000 a year just from people making a wish and tossing a coin. So the next time your kid really wants to make a wish into the Cinderella Castle wishing well, go ahead and let them do it, because you know that money is going to a good cause. Now, another crazy fact, I really was surprised by this when I heard it, and I think you guys might be too, especially with the current state of the Walt Disney Company and how much money they are losing in nearly every facet of operations this year. Disney parks actually provide most of the company's revenue. So think about how big the Walt Disney Company is, right? Movies, entertainment, merchandise, television. I mean, they own ESPN, they own ABC. But believe it or not, the Disney Parks Experiences and Products division is the highest revenue driver for the Disney Company. And even though Disney Media has a higher profit margin, the Disney parks actually make the most money. So with all the park closures this year, Disney's taken quite a hit, as we know. They noted a $2 billion loss in the park division and a $5 billion loss in company profits overall during the third quarter this year, which covers April, May, and June. Disney's taken out loans to help cover these setbacks, and we're still waiting to see how the park closures and phased reopenings will continue to affect the company's finances. Now, it seems that several larger construction projects like the Reflections Resort and several new Epcot attractions are on hold while Disney waits to see what the future holds. But they are still moving forward with lots of construction projects, and they are still moving forward with lots of their original plans. Despite all the hardships Disney may face in the near future, in their quarter 3 earnings call, they disclosed that the company has $23 billion in cash reserves. Even if there is a longer recession that affects the company, that's quite a safety net, even for a multi-billion-dollar company. So the parks may be what most people think of when they think of Disney World, but there's a lot more going on in Central Florida than most people would expect. The amount of property Disney owns is pretty mind-blowing on its own, but to think that 1/3 of it is just swampy fields, and the amount of money Disney raises for charity just by picking up coins, or the huge amount of cash reserves the company is holding on to, those numbers are staggering. So which fact for you was the most surprising? Did any of them change the way you look at Disney World? Let us know in the comments.